welcome, you thirsty tea sippers. Welcome to the podcast, Higher Self Spills the Tea. And as you know, we are here on a higher self perspective. And today we have a special guest, Paul. And Paul's going to be joining us and taking us into the magical realms of his magical love space. So you don't want to miss this, everyone. Come join us. Okay, Paul. So I am so happy to have my good buddy, Paul, here with us. And Paul is an amazing coach on so many levels. Paul has been a voice coach for over 15 years, and he's also a deep relationship coach. And my experience with Paul is he is just one big heart, and his heart comes through in his voice, and he also helps his people find their loving words, find their authentic voice in their lives and in their relationships. So thank you, Paul, for joining us today.
Thanks, Anna. It's great to be here with you and your wonderful listeners.
Yes, and I love that you have this beautiful background, and there's also a video part of this special podcast just for you, Paul. And can you share with us a little bit where you are, what that beautiful scenery is in your background?
Yeah, I'm up with my partners Shira and Eddie, and we're up at the lake for much of the summer. This is where we were swimming this morning. Nice. So we get to be up here in the trees and open spaces. You might hear some hammering in the background. The neighbors working on the dock.
I love that Paul helps me appreciate the organic noises in the background. I was just talking about my dog, who will probably be snoring in a little bit.
Hopefully we get to hear him.
And thank you for sharing that lake view with us. For those of us who might be not close to a lake, I really appreciate that. Good energy, Paul. So Paul, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and this authentic voice work and also this relationship work? What is that about?
Well, I'd love everyone to download the link. There's a gift as part of the podcast. It's a link. It's a guided journey, 15 minutes that I've taken people on, helping them asking for love, asking for deep love in their relationship. And a lot of times we are going through life, we're getting busy, we're in a relationship. And yeah, there's love, there's connection. We love our partner, and then in the background, we're wanting something more. We're wanting a deep connection, a deep love in our lives, with ourselves, especially with our intimate partners, with our spirituality. We want to go deeper than the surface. We want to go right into that. Because like at the end of our days, at the end of my days, my last moment on earth, it doesn't matter what I did. It's how I loved and how I felt deep love. That's the only thing. So learning how to ask for deep love, how to open and receive it and create that, allow that deepening of love in our, especially our intimate relationship. It's for me, it's just been and my clients, it's just been a complete life game changer. It's changed everything. And my wish, my obsession is helping people remove the obstacles from having the deepest love, starting in their intimate relationships and with themselves, and have that.
Sorry, go ahead. What is deep love? So, like, I love my partner, I love my parents, I love myself, right? But I wouldn't say I feel a sense of deep love on a daily basis, right? So is deep love a feeling? Is it a connection? What is it, if you could describe it?
It's what happens when there's all these things that pull us out, that keep us on the surface. We're in our heads. We're relating maybe 3 inches deep, or sometimes 6 inches deep. And we have peak experiences with our partner, with love, or with our spirituality. But a lot of the time we're like 1 or 2 inches from the surface. We're talking about going deep in the water. Like the peak experiences that we've had where our heart's just opening, we're connecting. Maybe we're making love with our partner, or we're like, there's something that's just this opening. Oh my gosh, my heart just opened. We can actually live like that, like way down in the water. Mm. And then you notice it when what happens when I'm there. There's not a lot of thought. There's not a lot of worry. There's not stress. My security, my inner security is off the charts. Like we feel so secure and at peace and in harmony in our life, because we're aligned with the universe, what's real, what's at the core of everything. We're aligned with that. Our mind takes us out of that, away from deep love. So we just have glimpses. We have glimpses. Then we go through decades with our partner. We have love, but like we've been so pulled out of it. So when I know when I'm there, when I am deeply secure from my toes to the top of my head, I feel connected. Mm. Mm-hmm. And just like when I see my partner, if she walks down the pathway in front of me, like just my heart opens. I just like, and there's not this mental thing. It's this body thing, this emotion, this openness. Like we're open channels for each other. Mm. It's so weird to describe it, because you can't describe something with words that's beyond words. It came before, but deep love comes before words.
Right. Wow.
Words are an abstraction away from deep love.
Exactly. And for those of you, this is a special treat, because Paul is going to actually take us into that deep love space today, right, Paul?
Yeah, we're gonna point in that direction. When I'm working with clients, when we do our deep love group program, we're in a process together where we're taking a dive. And when you take a dive, you break through the water, obstacles, resistances start to drop away. We learn how to open things up in our relationships. We remove things that were keeping us out. So it's a process. So we have these experiences. Oh my gosh, I'm here. This is amazing. This is the face I want to cultivate. So I don't know when it shows up. I can't turn a switch, but we'll explore today. And my wish is that everyone listening at some point will have a feeling, something flooding in.
Ooh, that sounds juicy. Because Paul, what you're describing is when we're in relationships, we're just a couple of inches deep, and usually it's a mental space, right? So I'm thinking about, I'm in quarantine, right, with my fiance, Justin, and a lot of it's like, okay, what are we going to cook for dinner? When are you going to be able to take the dog out, and when can I take the dog? And a lot of it's kind of like planning and the daily thing. And sometimes we're talking about shows that we watch or what's going on in the news. So that's connection, but it's a very mental connection, right? And you're saying that's kind of the surface level connection.
Yeah.
So
when I'm in that, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I when I identify with these thoughts, I'm not having this like you have deep love when you don't have to ask if you have it. Like, oh yeah, like you look at a partner, you look at a woman or a man that feels so adored, and they receive so much love. They're able to receive so much. They're so adored by your partner. You look at her and you don't have to ask. Like you're like, oh yeah. and then we say, we have a yearning, like, I want that, I want that, I want that. But then the mind comes in and takes us into whatever distraction of the day we're using to keep us up out of the real experiences that we're having.
Mm.
And if somebody's listening to us, I'm sure there's listeners that are they're coaches, they're practitioners, they're business leaders. When they have this connection, when they have their deepest connections with their clients, it's a deep love connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's rippling into that. So when we have this with our partners, we have a whole other way of relating to our clients and potential clients that pulls them in like a super magnet. There's this thing they feel with us. Like, oh, wait a sec, this feels really different. They're teaching me business strategies or whatever we're helping them with. But they feel something with us I don't feel this anywhere else. This is what I've wanted to feel my whole life. I feel so connected with Anna. I feel so like held in a presence.
Mm. Yeah. And if we're in a partnership and the other partner, let's say, is not doing this deep love work, is it beneficial for, one person to bring that into the partnership, for one person to do this work, right?
It takes one person to create a great relationship. Most of the time, when I'm working with people doing the deep love work, their partner isn't engaged in the program, but it's usually the woman, or one of the women in the relationship who is in the program, and they're opening, and they realize where they're keeping love out, the things that they're doing or saying that's making it harder for the partner to really come in. So these things are dropping away. They're dropping away. And then their partner experiences them differently. It's like, wait a sec, you feel different. And they start to get drawn in, they start to get really interested. And we also, what are the things that come up in a relationship that are difficult? Well, there's ways to melt those away. There's strategies, like just new understandings, that when they have those understandings, the difficulties that they used to have, the arguments or whatever, or places where they didn't really align, those just open up. So now that opens up a lot of space for love. So one partner can do it all, really.
Wow. Well, that's encouraging for the audience listening in today. So, Paul, I know that you're going to take us through this really special experience of entering the magical love space. And is this also the space where you experience deep love? Can you give us a little bit of I know this takes us into the head, but a little bit of just like an understanding about this space before we dive into it?
Yeah. So I don't really understand it. It's something that shows up. It's something that shows up. And the more we drop out of our thinking, see, there's a conversation we're having. There's the thoughts, there's the mental, but there's a deeper conversation that we're having, that you and I are having, that we're having with the listeners, even though they're going to listen later. There's a deeper level of conversation. And that's where it happens. You start to feel it open. You start to feel an opening. You start to feel an opening. And then at some point, we could find that, oh, there it is. I'm different. And then I'm interacting differently. So I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to do it. It just shows up in the process.
Ooh, yes. So listeners, so tune in and it's one of those things you just know, right? It feels different. You feel like you're being held. It feels like a different space. I don't know. Let's go into it, because I feel like this is something that is such a special treat to experience, because oftentimes we're really in our heads a lot, especially if we have to take care of ourselves, our business, our clients, people in our lives, right? So what a nice what a nice place to be able to be held and to dip into that deep love space.
And if you're listening to this, if you're listening, if you're able to pull over the car, or you're in the house, if you can just, if you're at all able to just create a space for yourself, a space for love right now as you're listening, put your phone off on flight, turn off the notifications, create a space where you can just sit or walk in the park and just create a space for yourself. Like, can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
Relationship is the strongest things I have in my life. It's one of my strongest skills. And for the first 4 years of my life, the longest relationship I'd ever been in was 3 months. I started working with somebody who showed me how to enter the space with myself. Within 30 days of that, boom, I was in a 5.5-year long-term committed intimate relationship.
That's a big jump.
It changed everything. So if you're listening to this, and I really invite you to create a space. Actually, for all of Anna's podcasts, I invite you to create a space where you're just sitting, where you're just really just absorbed in that, because there's a deeper transformation that can happen. And so, so anyway.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's really important to create that space. And so, Paul, as all of our listeners and viewers are settling into their space, I'm going to have you take the stage, and you can lead us into a place of deep love. And I'm going to be here. Paul's going to be the coach, right? The bringer of the space. And I'm going to be his coachee, and anything that it's going to be like as if you guys are listening through me working with Paul. So Paul, feel free to ask me questions, whatever we need, and we'll experience the space together.
Awesome. And if there's anyone listening, like if this was a call-in show, it'd be so amazing. But we can't have you call in right now. But what we can do is, I'm willing, if you're listening to this and there's something that Anna asks me or we talk about that pops up for you, say, oh, I would really love to ask Paul. You can ask me. There's going to be a link. You can reach out and say, hey, I was listening to Anna's podcast on deep love, and I had a question. Can I ask it, or can we speak for a few minutes? And just because of your relationship with Anna, you guys are important to me, so you're welcome to do that.
That's awesome. That's so generous of you. Thank you. And yes, we'll put all of Paul's info. Please take him up on that. There's no reason to keep yourself, holding off on entering the space if you have questions. So definitely connect with Paul. He's very generous. He's a great resource, right? And he's a powerful coach. So thanks for that.
So Anna, what comes up for you when you think of, what would if I could just really fall into a deep love in my life, or with one areas of my life, with my partner or somebody in my life, what just kind of bubbles to the surface as far as what would help, or what's an area that you could be where you could have more access to love?
Yeah, that's a really powerful question. And as you're asking that, I'm realizing my relationship with my partner is really similar to my relationship with myself. Like, it feels very intellectual almost. Like, I really appreciate him. I appreciate so many things about him. I really love a lot of different aspects of him, right? But I feel like it is very heady. It's the same with me. Like, I appreciate all of the things that I've learned and experienced, and the gifts that I have, right? How I serve people, what I do in my life and my business. So I can appreciate those things. I don't know if I love those things though, I feel like I do. But growing up, love wasn't a big topic in our house, right? So in our household, it was never, I love you. It was, here, I made you some dinner, have some dinner. And so that love connection, I feel maybe is a little bit less than it could be.
I love that. Can I share it? Can we brainstorm?
Yes.
Okay. So I bet that you and
Justin
and Justin, my guess is that, and I know you, I've known you for years. We've done coaching programs. We've done a lot. We know each other well. So I have the so I know when you go into a deep space, when you drop out of your head into a deep space of love, and you do it with your intuitive work, there's this presence that's profound. It's profound presence that's so beautiful. And if you're like me, you bob in and out of it.
Absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I have a client, a gentleman. I work with him and I work with his wife separately. They weren't married before, but they are now. And he's absolutely brilliant. He's like you, absolutely like genius, brilliant, so smart and so insightful that it's so attractive to go up there into the beautiful thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So what he's doing is he's dropping back down. He's dropping into this, and you're doing it now. I feel you doing it now. Can you feel it? You're dropping down into this Anna presence, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's felt. So we're kind of entering that magical love space now. We're kind of like this presence where words they don't do justice for what you're experiencing. Words can't even point to that. You're feeling this. You find yourself going in and out, and then you can drop in a little more of this presence. This gentleman that I'm working with, the more he stays there, the more we're in there together, and we're starting to talk from that place. We're starting to be in that presence together. Things happen to him. Like love just enlivens in him. Because we're spending time in that. We could even be talking about, solving a challenge in his relationship with his brother or his partner, but we're really in this space together. And the more time we spend in the pool, the more water soaks in. And then we start to operate more and more from that level throughout the other parts of our life. It starts to show up. We start to operate from this deeper love.
Paul, how would you describe the dropping in for people who are like, okay, how do I drop in? Right? So the moment you said it, I felt like we naturally go there. It was just like, oh yeah, drop in. But if you can almost give us like a step of, okay, so if you really want to drop in at this moment, this is how you do it. How would you describe how to drop in?
Well, we're always different because we're so dynamic. Every moment's different. Circumstances are different. What we're thinking is different. Where we woke up is different. How we woke up. So there's ways in. Like I have a system. It's a system using the Deep Love program. It's the LVR system. The LVR system. So one way is spending more time in the magical love space. Just spending time. And one way I do it with people is just when we're together, we're spending the time. We're there. They're learning how to create that in their life, and they're spending more and more time. And it's like osmosis. It just transforms them by spending time in there. So that's really helpful for some people, and for at some times, finding our voice to really ask for what we want. in a way that our partner can really hear us, because we've been asking for years, but they can only hear us to the way we've been able to find our voice. And there's a voice of love. There's a way that we can use our voice
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that they can really hear.
Yeah. And
And
that's
then,
coming from the love space versus coming from the head space, which might be a little bit more critical. Is that what you mean?
yeah, where we're coming from is everything. Absolutely. They feel that. They feel the warmth. They feel the warmth in our voice.
Mm.
And we learn how to ask for things in a way that they just feel great giving it. And just the asking is an act of love, because you're feeling that. You're feeling it. There's just feeling it. And then I feel love from my partner in a deeper way, and that enlivens the love, which takes me deeper into the magical love space.
Wow.
So it's coming out from outside in. I can now receive, and so LVR. So the R is about receiving and removing the obstacles that I've had to being in love. And sometimes there's fears or restrictions or blocks. So when we do the deeper work, we identify a block and we melt it away. So it's like opening up the river. We've taken the log out of the river, and now the beautiful warm water can rush down. And we're like, the channel's open.
Mm.
So those are three ways that we can enliven this deep magical love space through being in the space. And one way I do it is when I'm with people.
Mm.
They're just receiving it.
Wow.
And finding our voice to ask for love, and removing obstacles that kept us from receiving and opening to it. Because if we remove one log from the river, now the love that our partner has for us could just flow right in. We can feel it. We can take it in. We're not keeping it out anymore. And there's so many ways that we keep it out. So if we can identify those, that's a real game changer for a lot of people.
Mm. Yes. And can you actually talk a little bit more about that, Paul? Because I think that so many of us right now have so many walls up that it's really common. And I notice this within myself too. So sometimes I feel like, Justin's just looking at me, and he's just looking at me with this, love oozing out of his eyes. And I'm like, oh, I gotta make dinner, or something like that. I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Right.
But really, it's not that I have to make dinner right now. That's just an excuse. It's like, maybe I can't handle or receive the love, probably because there's a block there, right? So can you talk a little bit about blocks, and maybe how your process helps to identify and remove those blocks? Because we have so many unconscious blocks to love.
Yeah, I love it. I love how you said that. We get the heebie-jeebies when we're just at the precipice of love rushing in.
Yes, that sound like love rushing in. I'm like, stop.
Right. So we got to go from where we're at, right? So maybe I want to let a little bit in. Let a little bit more in. It's like, and we're all different. Like I shared a little bit about my partner. She just loves getting a kiss on the cheek. She's soaking it. When she gets a peck on the cheek, you can just see it. She's like a sponge, just taking it in. It's like coconut oil on the skin, it just goes soaking. It just can't get enough. It's just soaking right in. It goes in. It just goes right into the heart, right?
And can I ask what that's like for you as the giver of the kiss? Because sometimes I feel like, speaking for myself, of course, but as women, sometimes it feels almost like selfish, like, oh, don't do this for me, or, but what does it feel like for you as a giver when someone's able to really receive your love?
When I give something with love, it's opening. This giving is opening me, and love is rushing in. I'm feeling it too. So what I'm giving, I'm feeling. And what I'm giving, I'm cultivating in myself. I'm creating, the more I give love from a feeling of this love, not just doing something, here's your dinner, I made a beautiful dinner, but actually doing it with love and feeling that I am experiencing love, and it's carving out the channels for more love to be felt in me. But you asked a really amazing question. You asked, like, how can I remove what's been keeping love from coming in more? So one of the things that we do in this work is we learn how to carve out a space for ourselves where we can really be just present with ourselves, be really available. We say, I want my partner to be more available. I want a new partner to be available. So I want to be available with me, to be present. Like when I learned this, it was like an awakening, because when I was taught this, because I walked down the street and I said, I'm passing these flowers, it's springtime. This is the most amazing day. And I'm skipping by most of it. So this person helped me see that. Wait a second, no. If you want deep love, if you want the kind of relationship you really want, full, you got to be available for you. I was like, I really haven't been. I've been available for everything else but me. So I stopped. I'd be walking down the street. I'd stop. I'd see a flower. And I just really stop and take it. And I got a few minutes. I'm hanging out with this flower on somebody's by the driveway. I'm just taking it in. Whoa. Slow down. And then I see the sky. It's like, oh my gosh, look at that blue. And I'm taking a moment to take it in. Before I would just skip on by, right? I'd get busy. I was doing the opposite of what was letting love in, letting presence and deep love in. And then I would open up a little more. So, wow, then I'd see somebody. I'd just, oh my gosh, I'd really take the notice. I really appreciate that. Wow, what an interesting person. And I'm feeling a connection. So I'm slowing down for that. Like, these are the only things that matter. My ability to connect and love and help somebody or be available. And I was spending like 95% of my energy trying to get something done, try to get somewhere so I could feel, then I can relax enough to arrive and so I can feel loved. Right? I was missing life completely, almost completely missing on life. So if we can, as one part of this process, start creating a space. It doesn't have to be the whole day. Just create a little space throughout the day, a little space to be available for yourself. And if you're like me, you'll get the heebie-jeebies because we've been addicted out of ourselves, addicted to get out of ourselves. So you might get the heebie-jeebies. That's okay. That's just be with that. Just love that. Just like we love, Charlie's snoring, and we love that. It's endearing. So when you feel the heebie-jeebies, that's endearing because you're now available for that. But before you weren't available for those heebie-jeebies. So it's a profoundly loving act for me to be available for my heebie-jeebies. And they'll soothe. I'm just with it. And I just drop in.
And so the heebie-jeebies can be frustration, right? Or it can be whatever we're feeling at the moment, or it could be kind of like anxiety and nervousness because we're finally tuning in. Yeah. And you're saying, just be with that. Don't try and change it. And then after you're with it, you can drop in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to be with it. Just be with the feeling. Or if that feels a little bit difficult, depending on where you are in the day, just be available for a flower, just be available for something, just for a minute, just a little more available. So this can really be helpful. I used to spend days in the woods just being available. And really changed my life. But we don't have to do that. Sometimes just by talking through the challenges in somebody's relationship, that opens up the pathways.
And Paul,
So
when you
this,
say be available, is it be available for your feelings, be available for connection, be available for all of the above?
yeah, to the extent that is doable for us, if you're Justin's looking at you, appreciating you, loving you, and you really see that, just take a little bit in.
Yes, I actually get squinty-eyed. So if he's looking at me and your love is pouring in his eyes, I'll just I'll actually physically do this. But I'm letting a little bit of it in, right?
Yeah, you stay there, you linger a little. Let the touch
Right.
linger a little, let it soak into the amount that you're comfortable. Then the next time you can linger a little. We want a very sustainable process that's loving and kind and gentle, because that process, it's like sometimes I feel like I'm Mr. Rogers when I'm doing this work, because he's got such a gentle, nurturing presence. That's the most sustainable transformation place. If I can even have that for myself, be that for myself, hold a space like that for myself, that just changes my whole experience, and people experience me differently. They start to come in differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like their energy can rest in your presence. And I really feel that magical love space. Like when you're talking about, you used to just look at a flower and be available for this flower. And my initial, my kind of Western do trained mind was like, oh, but yeah, it's cool, it's beautiful, but it's just a flower. What if you have other things to do? But the point is, that's how we rob ourselves of this experience of being in love and being present to ourselves and being present enough to enjoy the simple beauty, right? The simple but profound beauty of being there with the flower, like really, really being there. That's something that I'm realizing from what you're saying, just how you go about your life, how you're with people. You're with a person, your client, the same as you're with this flower. And it's a connection that we've robbed ourselves, right? Because of stuff like this and all of the things. And to actually bring that as a forefront of your life and your actions, I really can see it changing everything, every conversation with nature, every conversation with our partner, with ourselves. It's a really different place to come from. It's a really different space. So is this the magical love space?
Well, this is what you're describing is our love and innate being, how we really are. It's our essential nature. So the more we plug into that, the more enlivened we feel, the more fulfilled, happy we feel. The magical love space is a space that happens when two people are having that, could be in the coaching conversation or in a group. It's this presence that's met. And something happens in that meeting. Something happens behind the scenes for the person. Now they're plugged in, and all these things are happening. The software is all rewriting in the background. It's rewriting them into deep love. That's the transformation space. That's the magical love space. When I'm with somebody in a space, and then they learn how to do that on their own, their code is being rewritten. I'm not rewriting it. We're just there together, and then something's happening. And they come out of that process. They've come home.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And what a gift to have someone be there with you, like fully present, right? Fully present and holding that deep love space for you, right? that's something that I feel like is so, I can just like feel a big exhale in my body, just being here with you. And Paul, can you give us, before we wrap up, can you just give us an example of either with you or maybe one of your clients, what happens after they connect to this deep love space with you and you help them remove their blocks? Like, what are some things that they see happen in their lives?
Well, I was talking about the gentleman that I'm coaching. Well, his partner, like when we have a coaching session, and she, like, we've been working on helping her be available for herself, right? So what I've seen happen for her is she's talking about how she feels different in her life. Like she's walking down the street or she's in her car and she feels a profound sense of ease and a connection with life. She's using words like, I'm falling in love with life.
Mm.
I'm falling in love with all the experiences that are around me, even the ones that before I thought were problems. I'm falling in love with life.
Wow. That's so
And,
profound. The things that
yeah,
I thought were problems, I'm falling in love with life.
yeah.
So nothing's a problem, right?
So that's when I said the LVR process. The R is releasing obstacles. Well, what we do is we look at the things that look like they're, oh my gosh, this can't be my life. This is wrong. And we actually fall in love with how things are. Now I don't need to change this part of my life because I've fallen in love with how things are. And then that's the place where things start to change because we're now embracing it. We're just totally fine with. So she fell in love with her work. Work was so like a nightmare for her. It was terrible. And she's fallen in love with being there.
Wow.
And her effectiveness has changed. She's seen differently in the eyes of her employers. Her career is just rocketing where she felt completely stuck because she's fallen in love with life, and she's fallen in love with being herself. She doesn't have to change her body. She doesn't have to change this to feel like loving life, loving herself, loving life. And then her partner just picks this up. He catches whiffs of it. What's that? Right? Oh, what's over there? Oh, what's going on? He gets really interested, right? And she's feeling him coming in closer and closer. She's feeling him coming and wanting to be closer. And it's beautiful.
Can I say something to that? So some of us, most of us might perceive that as confidence, right? But and yet confidence is something that you get when you're in love with your life. But that's really what it is. It's love. And I love how you're like her partner sniffs it out because it's actually so rare for people to meet someone who's just in love with themselves, right? And in love with, and maybe they still have insecurities, but they're still loving those
Yeah.
insecurities too. It's a deep love experience, and people who are loving who they are at work. And it's something that's so, like what you said when we first started, it's it's almost like a magnet. You become a magnet for people and things and opportunities because it's something that people love. And yeah, you're right, they do sniff it out and they're like, hey, can I just hang out with you, right? Can I just be in your presence, please? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that's everyone. That's me and Paul. I'm like, where's Paul? Where's Paul? I smell his magical love space.
Well, people are like that for you, like, because you got this, people want to be around you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got this Anna presence.
Yeah.
And everyone listening to this has this. They are this. It's, and I don't know if you're spiritual or not, but like your people experience God through you. People experience themselves through you, right? And when people can experience that wholeness through just being with you, like I can't think of a better gift. They're seeing God. They're seeing themselves through you. They're seeing their essential nature, how beautiful that is, and how um, complete and perfect and wonderful they are through you.
Wow.
And to give that to your kids and your partner and your
Oof.
family, just to walk around and be that. I mean, that's what this is like. This is coming home. This is a life. This is a full life. This is living fully.
Oh,
Presence.
I love that.
You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to make more money. You don't have to get a new car, change your clothes, or change your you don't need any of that. It's already there waiting. And having this experience with our partner can really intensify that. Oh, I lost you. We froze.
I can hear you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. That was the most profound bit. It was like your love was gushing in and bursting at the seams and broke the internet. But Paul, that's so amazing. That's so beautiful. That's so profound. And I have to say that, for the longest time, I felt like I had to, be more successful to impress my parents and to finally make them proud of me. And then I realized that would never happen anyway. So I just started taking care of myself and loving them to the best of my ability. And every year I could love them a little bit more. And now I feel like they're completely different people and we have a completely different relationship just from, I guess, like tapping more and more into this love space. So you're right. Like if we can just be in that right now and offer it to people in our lives. Wow, what a game changer. That's so wonderful. Yeah.
I love how you gave it to yourself first.
Yeah, I needed it, right? We all need it. And Paul, I know everyone is just like, we do have to wrap up, but I know everyone's just wanting so much more, which is a really, really good place to be in. And I really encourage everyone to click on the link and connect with Paul. But Paul, can you tell us a little bit about, you and what you're working on and how people can find you and again, like how people can connect with you in your work?
Oh, thank you. In beginning of September, I'm we're doing a program, a group program. It's called Deep Love. And it's primarily for people that are already in relationships. They want to experience this deep love that we're talking about with themselves and with their partners. And some people won't have partners yet, but this is probably the most direct way for them to bring in that partner.
Wow.
There's the link that Anna has is there's a meditation, a 15-minute experience that I recorded up here at the lake a few days ago for your listeners, and you can get there for life, voice for FOR life, voiceforlife.ca /ask. Voice for life, FOR life.ca /ask. And then you put in your email and you'll get sent directly to this, or you can have this 15-minute experience of how to ask for love, how to ask for deep love. And I hope that's really helpful for you. And from there, if you want to connect with me, you're welcome. If any questions came up or things you want to ask me from today when you're listening, just say you're from Anna, and I'll be happy to create a little space, just create some space for you.
Yes. And folks, consider the September program, right? Because from my truest personal experience, being in Paul's presence so he talked about your DNA resets. It's almost like something comes over you. And I just feel so grounded and in a much different space. And so a lot of the listeners here, Paul, are here because they know that there are different perspectives in experiencing life. And we here talk about the higher perspective. And, you bring in this higher self and also like this deep love perspective, right? Which immediately impacts you and your relationships. So please, 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 I encourage everyone to connect with Paul, and all the links will be here for you. And Paul, as we wrap up, any last words for our audience?
Well, listening, I thank you for your presence. I thank you for your being present for yourself and with Anna and with me, even though it wasn't at the same moment. There's no time. So we actually are in this moment together.
So true. I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for your time. Thank you, listeners. I hope you feel more loved and more energized for the rest of your day. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Anna. Great to be with you today.